All our lives, we've been told.
Work hard.
Achieve. Get to the next level.
But sometimes, our best efforts fall short. We start to think maybe we don't have what it takes.
Or maybe we do.
Jesus took on the sins of the whole world. He conquered even death itself.
He invites us to follow him. He wants us to trust him.
And through him, through his body and blood, we are united in Jesus. And to each other.
Everything we're searching for.
Hail Mary, full of grace.
Our hopes and our dreams.
Points to the Father.
Who loves us unconditionally.
Who called us by name.
If you knew that receiving the Eucharist would change your life and change the world,
What will you do?
what would you do?
What would you do? Join us for the Year of the Eucharist.
Coming up on this edition of Reel to Real. The 40 Days for Life campaign kicked off this week as we begin Respect Life Month. I'm Carolee McGrath. I'll have the story coming up.
I'm David Martin. I'll have the story of the Food for the Soul Weekend Meals Ministry at St. Mary Parish in Longmeadow, offering Meals on Wheels at critical times to those most in need.
And a campsite dedicated to a late priest well known for his support of hikers on the Appalachian Trail. These stories are coming your way next on Reel to Real. Hello and welcome to Reel to Real as we welcome October, which is also marked as Respect Life Month. Even though the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in June, Massachusetts retains some of the widest access to abortion in the country, so the pro-life community here still has much work to do. Last Sunday, Bishop William Burns celebrated a Culture of Life Mass with state and local leaders of the Knights of Columbus, followed this past Wednesday by the kickoff of the 40 Days for Life campaign in the Diocese of Springfield. Carolee McGrath reports. Each year, in advance of Respect Life Month, the State Leadership Council from the Knights of Columbus traveled to St. Michael's Cathedral, where they joined Bishop William Byrne for the Culture of Life Mass. The Mass this year helped to launch a number of activities, including the 40 Days for Life, which is now underway in Springfield.
The Culture of Life Mass is an inherent part of who we are. We don't just worship God, we take that worship into practice, into defending the most vulnerable among us. And what is more vulnerable than the old, the elderly, those in a nursing home, those in a womb, those on the street? We consistently care for those poor among us, those vulnerable among us, and we stand up against a culture that just uses people. And so we stand up and say, no, these are children of God.
Tom Butler is the newly elected state deputy of the Knights of Columbus. He and his family belong to St. Thomas Parish in West Springfield.
We try to do Culture of Life Masses in every diocese each year.
Butler says the Knights just launched an aid and support after pregnancy program.
The Knights have just started a new program, their ASAP program, which is about supporting mothers after pregnancy, and providing extra resources for maternity homes and pregnancy resource centers. So we continue to try and find more and more ways to help.
Also last weekend, pro-lifers met at Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament Parish in Westfield for a rally to kick off the fall campaign of the 40 Days for Life, which runs through November 6th. The National Pro-Life campaign is centered on prayer, peaceful witness, and outreach. Parish or volunteers are asked to sign up to cover a day at the vigil site outside of Planned Parenthood in Springfield. Father Dan Pekalik is the director of pro-life activities for the diocese.
It's wonderful because it gives us a concentrated period of time when we invite people to consider joining in witness and in prayer down at Planned Parenthood in Springfield. And each year that number grows.
According to national organizers, more than 22,000 babies have been saved from abortion since the first international pro-life 40 Days campaign in 2007. Elizabeth Tudrin often prays the rosary outside of Planned Parenthood all year round. Tudrin and her husband, Deacon Ted Tudrin, have 4 children and grandchildren. She says she felt a nudging from the Blessed Mother to fulfill a promise she made 30 years ago to go down and pray at Planned Parenthood. At the time, Tudrin had a young family. During the pandemic, she felt the Blessed Mother calling her to be a public witness for life.
I pray there all the time, the Rosary and the Divine Mercy, and hold a sign and hoping that it will touch people's hearts. And it actually,
And people are touching hearts at the Big E as well, as Bishop Byrne found out.
At the Big E, we're here at the Mass Citizens for Life display. And here's George and Judy Wilson, who are standing up for life. How's the reception been? How have people greeted you?
The people have been very, very good about it. The reactions have been positive. Women who are expecting in particular come by with their children, and then they point out to in terms of, what stage are they in terms of fetal development. And the kids are really, impressed by it.
Exciting. So just standing up for life here at the Big E.
On the Saturday of Columbus Day weekend, the annual Life Chain will once again be held on Route 5 in Longmeadow. The pro-life witness out of St. Mary's Parish is another way people will be living the gospel of life this October. Many people think that since the Roe decision, all of these pro-life efforts aren't really necessary anymore, when in fact the opposite is true. In Massachusetts, we have one of the most permissive abortion laws in the country, allowing abortion through the 9th month of pregnancy. In addition, since the Roe decision, pro-life pregnancy centers have come under attack across the country and here in Massachusetts. In August, Bethlehem House was vandalized and a threat was spray painted on the property. In July, 2 centers in Worcester, Clearway Clinic and Problem Pregnancy, were also vandalized. No arrests have been made. But those who pray for life say endurance and persistence in prayer is needed now more than ever to walk with women in crisis and to change hearts. Elizabeth Tudrin says she knows for a fact that the public witness, as difficult or embarrassing as it can seem at times, makes a difference.
I've actually talked to people that we've touched their lives and actually saved babies. They told me that they had thought of having an abortion, and I steered them to Clearway. So they went to Clearway, and later they told me that it helped bring their life around, that a baby was saved. So.
You can still sign up for the 40 Days for Life at diospringfield.org. Reporting for Reel to Reel, I'm Carolee McGrath.
And to sign up for the 40 Days for Life, head over to iobserve.org, where you will find a link. And being pro-life means supporting life in all its stages. A weekend ministry at St. Mary Parish in Longmeadow has been providing meals for the homebound for 15 years now. As David Martin reports, food for the soul not only nourishes the body, but the spirit as well.
The main ingredients for dinners provided by the Food for the Soul Weekend Meals Ministry are volunteers. Some cook meals like meatloaf and arrive bright and early Saturday mornings to package them for delivery.
It just all comes together as they live out their Catholic baptismal vows of feeding not feeding the poor, but feeding people in our community who need a meal on the weekends.
Parishioner Mary Beth Bergeron, the initiator of the Meals Ministry, wanted to ease the burden of people suffering the death of a loved one or are limited due to surgery, so prepared meals can provide comfort and assistance. The Meals Ministry offers relief for those who depend on food and others unable to travel to the grocery store. It was a great resource during the COVID-19 pandemic. The Meals Ministry went from delivering meals for 40 people to delivering to 75 in a period of 2 weeks.
I had, very young people who just stepped right in and started taking the food pantry donations all the way to people. I was actually turning volunteers away because we had, although the need was great, the volunteers and the outpouring of love for others within this community was just, I'm getting goosebumps, was just so inspiring.
Parishioner Jennifer Hallahan said it was heartening to see so many volunteers, such as herself, and young parishioners like her daughter helping out.
And I'm inspired by her kind actions.
Thanks, Nora B. And I will also say that it was really wonderful to see how grateful and happy all the people were to see us, especially during the pandemic. I think that was an overwhelming thing of all of the drivers. People were so happy to see you coming with the deliveries.
Mary Beth Bergeron explained drivers will do wellness checks when delivering food. If the recipients do not answer the door, Bergeron is notified and calls the police. Nora Vanderhoff has learned from this experience to be aware of the different perspectives of people. She hopes to demonstrate that a younger generation is eager to pitch in.
It's like a little family almost. Like everybody has good intentions here and they want to do the right thing always. And they all come together for a great purpose. And I think that at one point it shows you the humanity that people have.
When volunteers arrive on Saturday mornings, bread donated by Big Y Supermarket in Longmeadow is bundled up to be included in deliveries. Then the meals are packaged, some including poems or inspirational words to brighten the day.
When I think of the corporal works of mercy, and feeding the hungry, and feeding and being there for each other, absolutely, we're trying to be Christ's hands and feet and voice and action in this community of Longmeadow.
Food is also collected for the Longmeadow Food Pantry. Bergeron sends emails out every week to volunteers who respond with any service they can offer.
When we first started the ministry, I'll honestly tell you for the first couple of months I was panicked that I wouldn't get what I need, or I should say what the ministry needed. And I realized after a couple of months that the Holy Spirit truly looks out after this ministry. I always get what I need.
Parishioner Diane Manalga began volunteering 5 years ago when she converted to Catholicism. The people she delivers to are just as happy to have a visitor they can converse with.
So it makes you feel better inside. People will say, why do you volunteer so much? Because it's helpful. It's just makes you feel like you're doing something for somebody.
Callahan believes the Food for the Soul Meals Ministry will only grow just as the kindness of people has at St. Mary Parish. They continue to donate their time and food as the need becomes greater in the Longmeadow community. For Reel to Reel, I'm David Martin.
Thanks, Dave. It's so great to see so many people coming together for such a worthwhile cause. And there's still much more ahead on Reel to Reel. Dan Dumas has news from around the Diocese of Springfield. And Steve Kiltonic takes us to a campsite dedicated to a late Berkshire County priest. These stories and more on this edition of Reel to Reel.
Like Catholic TV on Facebook. Once you're there, you can join in on discussions, make friends with other Catholic TV fans, watch behind-the-scenes videos from the studio,
Just finished this
and stay up to date with the Catholic world. All this at facebook.com/CatholicTV.
All our lives, we've been told.
Work hard.
Achieve. Get to the next level.
But sometimes, our best efforts fall short. We start to think maybe we don't have what it takes.
Or maybe we do.
Jesus took on the sins of the whole world. He conquered even death itself.
He invites us to follow him. He wants us to trust him.
And through him, through his body and blood, we are united in Jesus. And to each other.
Everything we're searching for.
Hail Mary, full of grace. Our hopes and our dreams.
Points to a Father.
Who loves us unconditionally.
Who called us by name.
If you knew that receiving the Eucharist would change your life and change the world,
What will you do?
what would you do?
What would you do? Join us for the Year of the Eucharist.
As the Catholic Church marks Respect Life Month during October, the Catholic Mirror highlights the love and lessons brought into our lives by people with disabilities and their families. The cover story chronicles the history of the diocese's Bureau for Exceptional Children and Adults at Jericho as it celebrates its 50th anniversary ministering to special needs individuals and families. Congratulations to Sister of St. Joseph Joan Magnani, who began the ministry with the late Father Robert Wagner, and present Executive Director Linda Lapointe, who continue the welcoming work of Jericho. A special report provided by our publisher, Faith Catholic, outlines practical ways parishes and parishioners can welcome families with special needs members into the sacramental life of the Church. Local news headlines include the annual Pope Pius X Award recipients, the return of in-person concerts by the popular singing priests, and the merger of 2 Greenfield parishes into the new Blessed Trinity Parish. Our parish angel, Belchertown parishioner Jerry M. Primo, is recognized for her tireless efforts in providing religious education opportunities for people of all ages. In his column, Bishop Byrne commends the many ways the diocese defends the sanctity of life. At a time of ongoing divisions, conflict, and uncertainty in our country and our world, the Church's embrace of human life in all of its stages, ages, and abilities may help us to bring the strength and unity of the Eucharist to all those we encounter, and to recognize each person as a beloved child of God. At the editor's desk, I'm Rebecca Drake.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Reel to Reel news briefs. Immaculate Conception Parish in the Indian Orchard section of Springfield recently held a traditional Polish harvest festival, and Springfield Bishop William Byrne joined the festivities. Carolee McGrath has the details.
Dressed in traditional Polish costumes, children led the procession into Immaculate Conception Parish in Indian Orchard for Dajinki, a Polish harvest festival in late August. Bishop Byrne celebrated the Mass and blessed the fruits of the harvest, wheat, and a loaf of bread, all giving thanks to God for his bounty. About 200 people were in attendance, including youth from the parish Children of Mary group and the parish youth group.
It's a great celebration, thanking God for the gifts of the harvest and seeking his intercession. There were children dressed up in traditional costumes. We blessed a big loaf of bread. There was an image of Our Lady, hand done by Stasha, one of the women in the parish, made with corn and wheat and all different kinds of seeds, just showing God's bountiful generosity.
Following the Mass, a reception was held with Polish food in the parish center. Father Peter Salik, the pastor of the parish, made much of the food that was served. People could also learn how to make butter as well at the reception and sample bread from several local bakeries. In Indian Orchard, I'm Carolee McGrath.
In other news, the 16th annual Memorial Mass for the victims and families of 9/11 took place at the Basilica of St. Stanislaus Bishop and Martyr Parish in Chicopee. The Mass, held on the 21st anniversary of the terrorist attacks, offered a chance to pray, remember, and heal. David Martin has more.
Firefighters, police officers, and veterans processed in while America the Beautiful was sung during the 9/11 Memorial Mass. The Mass was celebrated by conventional Franciscan Father Brad Malinsky, pastor of St. Stanislaus Basilica, with the purpose to honor everyone who died on that tragic day.
People went to work one day, not just police and fire, people just like you and me went to work one day and they never came home. At what point do you think we should stop remembering that? And that's basically what this is about, that we never forget.
The prayer of the faithful was offered to the victims of 9/11 and their families to find support from loved ones and God. Prayers were also offered to those who performed terrorist acts and hope that God's love can change their hearts and guide them to be more peaceful. Deacon Michael Trisnadel of St. Rose de Lima Parish in Chicopee believes those attending the Mass wanted to commemorate the sacrifice of lives on 9/11 and also experience God's presence.
I think it's very important that we remember the events of that day, and that we remember that God is with us, and we thank God for the things He does for us now in the present, so that we never forget, and that we try to do for others so that these events will never happen again.
At the end of Mass, it was announced that next year's Memorial Mass would take place at Our Lady of Fatima Parish in Ludlow. In Chicopee, I'm David Martin.
And finally, more than 100 Sisters of St. Joseph gathered in the chapel at Montmarie in Holyoke for the first time since March of 2020. It was a jubilant occasion, honoring more than 60 sisters marking special anniversaries. Sharon Woolier has more.
After 2.5 years without a celebration, it was time for dancing, as together the Sisters of St. Joseph reflected on 4,145 years of combined service to God and their neighbor. Sisters marking their 50th anniversary since they formally entered religious life, as well as those with special anniversaries of 60, 65, 70, 75, and 80 years as a woman religious, were honored. It was a long time coming for the only two sisters marking their golden jubilees, Sister Irene Fontaine and Sister Susan Swayze, who entered religious life in 1970. Sister Swayze, a graduate of Elms College, was a longtime math teacher at Blessed Sacrament School in Holyoke.
For me, it's that working with other people and showing the love that the sisters showed me when I was at the college. I mean, I didn't know any sisters when I went to the college. So I think that was what inspired me, their dedication, their love.
Sister Fontaine spent many years teaching and later on moved to pastoral ministry at the Dominican monastery in West Springfield.
Yeah, I love both. I love teaching like Sue, and I taught from grades 5 to 11, mainly math and religion. But I did also like the pastoral ministry part.
Elms College chaplain Father Mark Stelzer celebrated the anniversary Mass, reflecting on what the Sisters of St. Joseph meant to him personally.
It's personally a great day for me to be back here because I was educated by the Sisters of St. Joseph at Cathedral and have worked with them in every one of my assignments as a priest, beginning in St. Patrick's in Chicopee, St. Joseph's School, the Catholic Schools of Pittsfield, and throughout my years at the Elms, their Sisters of St. Joseph have been a very important part of my life.
Congratulations to all the Sisters of St. Joseph who have dedicated their lives in service to others here in the Diocese of Springfield.
And we have a complete listing of the sisters who marked milestone anniversaries online at iobserve.org, where you can read more on these and other stories, as well as on-demand episodes of Real to Real. That's iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and those were your Real to Real news briefs.
And finally today, there's a campsite in Cheshire that's a hidden gem for hikers of the Appalachian Trail. Named after the late Father Thomas Begley, longtime pastor of St. Mary's in Cheshire, the campsite honors the priest who was an avid outdoorsman. Steve Kiltonic has the story.
We'll camp a little while in the wilderness. In the wilderness, in the wilderness. We'll camp a little while in the wilderness. Then we'll be going home.
On June 24th, the Cheshire community gathered in song and spirit to celebrate the dedication of a new campsite on the Appalachian Trail in memory of Father Tom Begley, an avid hiker who passed away in 2018. For 20 years, Father Begley served as pastor of St. Mary of the Assumption Parish, a short distance from the campsite. Father Tom is one of the few priests to have hiked the entire length of the 2,000-mile Appalachian Trail, which winds 85 miles through Cheshire and Western Mass. He hiked the trail in various sections over a 12-year period, from 1983 until 1995, primarily during vacations and days off without a sabbatical. Father Tom, who loved nature, the outdoors, and birds in particular, started the tradition of hosting Appalachian Trail hikers at the parish's Father McAuliffe Hall.
She had a couple of rooms there. He allowed them to stay in there. If they had a little overflow, they could camp outside, but they could use the restrooms and were able to wash up. He was kind of low-key, very easygoing. He kind of stood back and listened a lot, so I think that's how he got into the hikers. He liked to visit with them when they came through the trail. Made him a little bit interested in doing it himself.
Steve Moll and his wife knew Father Tom from birding excursions.
He was outgoing, friendly. I mean, he was just a lot of fun to be with, easy to talk to, very easy to talk to. Nicest guy you want to meet.
Sure, he liked to do a lot of things with nature, and he just liked people. He liked to be active.
The Appalachian Trail runs from Georgia to Maine across 14 states. Here, Father Tom waves his walking stick triumphantly on Mount Katahdin at the conclusion of his journey.
He liked every part of it because every part was different. Every part had something different to offer, and maybe that's what he was after too, to see it all, to see the different seasons, just to get it all in.
What did you like the most about it, you think?
People. The beauty of a place, he would say.
A lot of his hiking was solo, so the solitude and reflection I think he enjoyed.
Growing up, Sean McGrath and his family hiked with Father Tom at various times.
Several trips throughout New England, day hikes, really actually got me into hiking a little bit. Continued that all the way through my life, so I think this is an absolutely fantastic dedication to his spirit.
Eileen Quinn, who chairs the Cheshire Appalachian Trail group, was instrumental in getting the town designated as one of only 51 nationwide Appalachian Trail communities in 2018. After the church was unable to host hikers, the campsite was chosen as an alternative way to continue the hospitality of the Cheshire community to hikers.
I would have never thought 4 years ago, we'd be standing here in this amazing campsite doing what we're doing now. So it's just been wonderful. And I feel privileged to be part of it.
The dedication included a ribbon cutting with Father Tom's sister Pat doing the honors. Father Peter Gregory, who knew Father Tom as a fellow priest at St. Charles in Pittsfield, led everyone in song.
This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. The Lord is present, and so this ground is holy.
A beam above the bike shed was unveiled, revealing an engraved quote by Henry David Thoreau, which Father Tom would often think of when hiking. Heaven is under our feet, as well as over our heads. In Cheshire, I'm Steve Kiltonick.
What a great tribute to Father Begley, who was such an inspiration to so many hikers for decades. And for this week, that's Reel to Reel. Thank you so much for watching. Before we go, the Year of the Eucharist Committee is holding an Adorathon, October 7th through October 8th. It will be held at Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament Church in Westfield, beginning with a 7 p.m. Vesper prayer service on Friday, concluding Saturday with a 4 p.m. Mass and Eucharistic procession. There's a link on iObserve to sign up for a time slot to participate. And of course, iObserve is also where you can keep up with the latest news on the Catholic Church in the Diocese of Springfield and around the world. That's iobserve.org, and we are also on Facebook at Catholic Communications. I'll see you right back here next week at this same time for Reel to Reel, your window on the world around you. Enjoy your week.
Reel to Reel is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.